big welcome from my side to the main event of today, Reaching the Sustainable Development Goals with AI. My name is Michael Feigelmann and I am part of the KI-Garage, and together with my magnificent co-moderator today, Karina, we will both guide you through today's evening.
Thanks, Michael, and welcome everyone to this amazing event tonight. I'm very happy that you all joined us for our first on-site event from Women in AI and Robotics. I've been involved with Women in AI and Robotics for over a year now, and since the beginning of this year, I'm also leading our activities in Stuttgart and Baden-Württemberg. Our president, Sheila Beladi-Jenat, and I will later tell you more about our network. And after the keynote, I will also moderate the panel discussion on the key topic of today, which is about how we can reach the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, with AI. At this point, I also want to thank our partner, the KI-Garage, and Michael. We worked together over the last months to make this amazing event happen for you. Also to the team of Stuttgart from Women in AI and Robotics who helped me on our side. And of course, the Stiftung Baden-Württemberg for inviting us to this venue here. So thanks a lot. And yeah, with this, back to Michael, and have a nice evening with us.
Thank you very much, Karina. And please, a big applause for my co-moderator, Karina. So, some of you already had some very insightful workshops already with our colleagues from StatWorks and Patricia about the topics of SDG and sustainable AI. And now we will proceed with our main event, where we will bring together two of the most relevant and current topics of nowadays, sustainability and AI. And before I start with the agenda of today, I would also like to say thank you to the Baden-Württemberg Stiftung for hosting us tonight, especially to Mr. Dahl, Mr. Weber and Ms. Weyers and the whole organizational team around it. Thank you very much for having us as your guests today. And this is what we've planned for you today. We have sorted out a hopefully very entertaining program for you. We'll start off with a few welcoming words by the Baden-Württemberg Stiftung and Women in AI and Robotics. We'll then go over to our fantastic keynote by Mrs. Professor Dr. Yivka Ovcharova, who will talk about operations with AI, digital twins and virtual reality. And then our main part of the event will take place. We invited today people from Google, the director of the FZE, and the CEO of a consulting company in terms of sustainability. And after that, to round up the evening, we will meet up each other in the follow-up networking sessions with food and drinks, roughly around 7:15, 7:20 this night. I hope and invite everybody to stay a little bit longer to get in contact with every of our speakers, panelists, and event partners. And just a few quick words about the KI-Garage and what we do, and I promise I will try to keep it as short as possible. With us at the KI-Garage, you can experience an ecosystem where AI expertise meets entrepreneurial spirit. This means if you have an AI idea and considering of founding a company, and especially an AI startup, then we are the ones to talk to in Baden-Württemberg. We help you with workshops, accelerator programs, and events like this year to connect you with people who will help you to gain knowledge and money. And to execute this program, dear audience, we will need your help. In October this year, we will start with our next network accelerator, where we will help up to 12 AI startups to transfer their AI idea into a sustainable business. So if you think that you can help as an AI mentor in roughly 90 minutes online sessions, then you are happily invited to join us. Please feel free to reach out to us during the networking session or via mail or LinkedIn. And now let's get to the people who made all of this here around us possible. I'm really honored to have with us today the former spokesman of the government of Baden-Württemberg and the current CEO of the Baden-Württemberg Stiftung. He will introduce us with a few words in German and follow up by his responsible program manager, Ms. Cosima Weyers. Bitte begrüßt mit mir mit einem tobenden Applaus Herr Christopher Dahl.
Herzlich willkommen. Ich begrüße Sie sehr herzlich, Frau Beladine-Stadt, Frau Miet, liebe Gäste und liebes Team der KI-Garage. Ist ein bisschen schwierig mit meinem Skript, aber wir kriegen es hin. Also im Namen der Baden-Württemberg Stiftung heiße ich Sie herzlich willkommen zur heutigen Veranstaltung, die wir gemeinsam mit Women in AI and Robotics im Rahmen unseres Programms KI-Garage organisiert haben. Mit unserem Programm KI-Garage unterstützen wir gründerwillige, schönes Wort, gründungswillige, dabei innovative Ideen im Bereich künstliche Intelligenz mit Hilfe von Beratungs- und Schulungsangeboten zu tragfähigen Geschäftsmodellen weiterzuentwickeln. Also wer gründungswillig ist und was Tragfähiges liefert, wird gefördert. So sieht es aus. Heute Abend beschäftigen wir uns mit der Frage, wie mit Hilfe von künstlicher Intelligenz die Nachhaltigkeitsziele erreicht werden können. In unserem sogenannten Netzwerk Accelerator haben wir unter anderem auch 3 KI-Startups unterstützt, die durch ihre Produkte Nachhaltigkeit fördern. Nächste Seite folgt. Das Team Fabrics hat ein Qualitätskontrollsystem für Textilnähte entwickelt. Die Vision ist, eine ressourceneffiziente und nachhaltige Produktion in der Textilindustrie zu etablieren. Ein System zur Messung des privaten Wasserverbrauchs hat das Team Hydrop Water Systems entwickelt. Über eine App werden der Verbrauch überwacht und personalisierte Hinweise zur Reduzierung gegeben. Und dann das dritte Team Green Vision möchte mit künstlicher Intelligenz Schädlinge in der Landwirtschaft durch ein Kamerasystem erkennbar machen. Damit sollen die Ausbreitung der unerwünschten Kleinstlebewesen verhindert und letztendlich Ernteverlusten oder einem übermäßigen Einsatz von Pestiziden entgegengewirkt werden. Mit der KI-Garage möchten wir zudem nachhaltige und dauerhafte Geschäftsmodelle entwickeln. Die Baden-Württemberg Stiftung, der Baden-Württemberg Stiftung liegen die Themen Nachhaltigkeit und Klimaschutz besonders am Herzen. Wir wollen unser Bundesland auf dem Weg zur Klimaneutralität begleiten und die Menschen im Südwesten mit einer Vielzahl von Angeboten dabei unterstützen, Klimaschutz zu einem festen Bestandteil ihres Alltags zu machen. Beispielsweise in unseren Programmen Nachhaltigkeit lernen, mobiles Baden-Württemberg, Gesellschaft und Natur oder Klimaanpassung. Also eine Vielzahl von Programmen. Das Thema Nachhaltigkeit verfolgen wir schon seit sicher über 10 Jahren. Mit der Klimaschutzstiftung in Baden-Württemberg haben wir, die ist als Unterstiftung der Baden-Württemberg Stiftung zum 1. Januar eingerichtet, werden außerdem Programme zum Klimaschutz in den Bereichen Bildung und Forschung umgesetzt. Und nun zum Schluss. Im Sinne der Nachhaltigkeit und der Klimaneutralität haben wir für Sie einige überwiegend vegane und vegetarische Gerichte bereitgestellt. Ich hoffe, die schmecken auch. Ich als Fleischfresser habe da immer meine Bedenken, aber ich bin überzeugt, bei unserem guten Caterer sind Sie wirklich gut bedient. Anschließend möchte ich mich noch für die Organisation des heutigen Abends beim Team der KI-Garage bedanken, sowie bei Frau Miet und Herrn Feigelmann für die Moderation. Und damit wünsche ich uns allen einen spannenden, erfolgreichen Abend. Viel Spaß und jetzt hören Sie alles nochmal auf Englisch. Bitte, Frau Weyers.
So welcome, a warm welcome from me as well. As mentioned, I will give a short English summary for all the non-German speakers. As Mr. Dahl mentioned, our program, the KI-Garage, we support young researchers to develop their ideas in the field of artificial intelligence into viable business models by providing consulting and training sessions. In the context of tonight's event, Mr. Dahl mentioned that we had 3 startups in our so-called accelerator program that promote sustainability through their products. The first team, Fabrics, has developed a quality control system for textile seams. Their vision is to establish a more resource-efficient and sustainable production in the textile industry. The second team, a system of measuring private water consumption, has been developed by Hydrop Water Systems. They have an app which is used to monitor consumption and provide personalized advice on how to reduce it. The third team, Green Vision, wants to use artificial intelligence to make pests in agriculture detectable through a camera system. This should prevent the spread of the unwanted microorganisms and ultimately counteract crop losses or excessive use of pesticides. Mr. Dahl also emphasized that the goal of one goal of our program is to develop sustainable and lasting business models with the KI-Garage. He also pointed out that sustainability and climate protection is a very important topic for the Baden-Württemberg Stiftung. For example, we have various programs about these topics. Our so-called Klimaschutzstiftung, which was established as a sub-foundation on January 1st, 2021, also implements climate protection programs in the areas of education and research. So, and after the keynote, as he already said, there's a wide option of vegan and vegetarian snacks for you prepared. So hope you enjoy the food for tonight, and I wish you a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Weyers, Mr. Dahl. And now let's get to our second very important partner of today's event, Women in AI and Robotics. And as we have learned over the past 2 years to work on a hybrid mode, we prepared a short video. Please, a big applause for their president, Mrs. Sheila Beladinejad.
Hello and a warm welcome to the community of Stuttgart. I am so excited to have you with us today to celebrate many new milestones together. This is our very first in-person event in Germany, and what better place to hold it than in Baden-Württemberg, where not only do we have an amazing community, partners and supporters, but are also excited for the future plans of Baden-Württemberg in artificial intelligence and innovation. Exciting times are ahead of us. Additionally, the topic of utilizing AI to address SDG goals is very fitting since we are celebrating our 1-year anniversary of becoming UN Women Coalition partners and making formal commitments as an association representing Germany. Since the founding of Women in AI and Robotics in 2021, we have accomplished a lot together. We are now over 750 members strong with chapters across Germany and Canada and a presence at a global level. Our mission is to take actionable and measurable steps to reduce the gender gap in artificial intelligence and robotics. We have developed educational programs, conducted workshops, held many technical events, mentored many women in our communities, and trained 40 women to become entrepreneurs in AI. We could not have done this without the great support of our members, our amazing volunteers, partners, and supporters. Gender inequality needs immediate action. We cannot wait for 100 years to reach equality. It needs to be expedited. And it is possible to do so if only we join hands and work together. This first in-person event today and your presence is a testament to what can be achieved when we come together as individuals, nonprofits, corporations, or government agencies, for we all play an important role in expediting the process. Special thank you to our guests, Professor Jivka Ovchekova, Patricia Mook, Marcel Isbert and Johannes Braun, Michael Dietz, our partner AI Garage, Michael Figelman, Patrick Wiedmann, Robert Dehgan, our sponsor Stiftung Baden-Württemberg, Mr. Christopher Dahl, Ms. Kazima Weers, Team Stuttgart, Karina Mead, Sanya Akhtar, Nina Schaaf, Mireika Kreshmar, and Anna Maria Christou. I hope to be there with you next time, and I leave you with my favorite quote from Rosemary Brown. We must open the doors and we must see to it that they remain open so that others can pass through. Thank you so much and see you next time. Bye-bye.
So, thank you very much, Sheila, virtually. She is currently in Canada, I think. And now we will move on to the main part of our event and with the first contents of tonight. And I would like to introduce you the director of the FZI in Karlsruhe. She is an engineer enthusiast, professor, and a Science for Life practitioner. Please welcome on stage Professor Dr. Jivka Ovcharova.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. I'm very happy to be here with you today, and especially because I see so many young women. It's incredible. So I know this from my practice as a professor, and I'm always happy now to talk to such enthusiastic people. So the topic is sustainability. For sure, sustainability is the most important topic we have to manage, and it's not just nice to have topic, but it's a really very strong topic to not only to talk but also to practice. And I will talk about different approaches towards finding solutions to sustainable operations, and AI is one of this technology, but also interlinked to other very potential, also really high potential technologies like virtual reality and digital twins. Because this is a very large topic, I just put 3 questions, and I will try to answer these 3 questions in 15 minutes. So, let's start with the first question. Why do we talk about sustainable operations, sustainability? The usual representation is for sustainability is there is a building with 3 pillars. 3 interlinked domains of bidirectional, multidirectional influence of society, ecology, and economy. And today we are talking about sustainability because we have to ensure a way of working and living which is not putting in dangerous situation the future generations, which is for first time a very, very tough topic for us. Looking on this slide, you see that we are talking about sustainability, but we are living in an environment which is driven by material resources and tangible assets. What should be changed radically is really the way how do we create value. We cannot create value in future just by material growth. It is possible to have a growth of our economy without to use materials. That means our understanding is that there are some switches in the slides which are not, I apologize for that. The changes are accelerating, so faster and higher, farther. Where to go? Who is giving the direction, as the direction for the transformation? My interpretation, not only interpretation, but I'm quite convinced that in future we have really to put more attention and more focus in our actions on creating value using intangible assets. That means all what is not touchable, what is not, what we cannot see, but what is really will drive us, our life and our future. This is a huge market. The market, using now the example of AI, is that we expect until in 3 years, by the way, in 3 years a market of over $105 billion using just AI. This is the fastest growing market or with business opportunities in such a fast changing economy. Let's start now with the topic of our evening, how to drive the changes towards sustainability. And I cannot talk in general, I will just focus one of the important goals related to our industrial development. For first time since over 200 years, we have to deal with reduction of material resources. Looking on the development in the last 200 years and 3 industrial revolutions, we used most materials, mechanization, electrification, automation. Now it's the time to switch from the global economy we created in the 70s to a smart economy, because, as I said, we cannot anymore physically grow. We can grow intangible, but not physically. And for this reason, talking about making the economy from global to more smarter means to include also the human in the loop. As you see in the last 200 years, machines some way replaced humans. Now is the time that the humans came back in the middle of the activities, and we understand cyberization as an interlinkage of machines, AI, and humans in so-called ecosystem. This is what already we use it just one of the most important terms concerning the actions of the AI garage. How to manage the sustainable development goals related to the change of the industry, the infrastructure, and how to drive innovation. As I said, I see the future just in putting the intangible assets in the center of consideration as the biggest business opportunity for the future. Well, it's nice to talk about that, but the question is how to realize it. So there are important, powerful technologies like artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and digital twin. And because we talk about changing industry, infrastructure, innovation towards intangible assets, that means in future to put the more stress of the real-time networking of objects with services and with humans. The real-time will play a very important role because, as I said, the acceleration of the changes is going faster and faster, and that means real-time applications will be really the main way of applications we have to run in the future. We don't have time to wait. But the technology is not changing the world itself. The technology can bring advantages if people use this technology. Then we can change the way how do we work and our business only if we use this technology in the right way. And let's talk now about the 3 technologies I just introduced, not introduced, but mentioned it: artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and digital twin, to understand what is behind these technologies and what is the real meaning of these technologies. Because in most of the cases, these technologies, these names, artificial intelligence, digital twin, and virtual reality, they are some sensational terms. But what means that? Starting with artificial intelligence. Well, looking in the past, I am active in this area. I follow the development of artificial intelligence since many years. The beginning was driven by computer scientists trying to improve the intelligence of machines, of computers. Talking about von Neumann, von Alan Turing, and John McCarthy. They are pushing the development of the computer technologies and intelligence of computers, introducing complex automate theory. But this theory was just understandable for few experts. And in order to make this technology more popular, John McCarthy introduced the term artificial intelligence. And this is, of course, a very attractive term. But what is behind it? Behind it is a machine intelligence, it's a computer intelligence. And this intelligence is still what we do now. Talking about artificial intelligence is just improving the intelligence of computers. I don't know if you saw this very famous controversial discussion of Jack Ma and Elon Musk in Shanghai in August 19. So they agree just in one point. They agree just in one point that there is no real forecast possible for the artificial intelligence. And they completely disagree about the future of artificial intelligence. That means there are many topics to think on. Where we are today? Today, talking about artificial intelligence means that we use algorithms for recognizing regularities or patterns in learning data. Well, during visit of Mr. Hofmeister Kraut with a delegation in China, we made some tests, and what you see in the middle is I tested just a system in Shenzhen of recognizing or matching me with another person. What you see is just that algorithms do not work in the right way, because I was matched to 70% with this guy, which is a man with dark skin without hair. So I think that these algorithms were really not so successful. But today, as I said, we can work if we have a huge amount of data, which is already a problem. And as I said, it's not so difficult to search for patterns we already know. So to search for cat or for dog is not the challenge. The challenge is for the industry. The challenge is to have solutions for real-world problems. And these problems are strongly related really to the production. We need to learn in connected cyber-physical systems. We need data coming from different sources, different type of sensors. And also, we have to work on the topic of real-time making decisions, not after training the neural networks for a long time, which takes also a lot of computational power. This is what we learned today, that it is not really just computer resources are not unlimited, and they cost a lot of energy. So the future belongs to AI, but AI means not artificial intelligence. AI means augmented intelligence of machines and of humans. I had the pleasure to talk to Gary Kasparov 2 years ago, and he is really very much pushing this perspective of putting more the intelligence of humans and machine together, and not talking about artificial intelligence against the human intelligence. This is absolutely not our goal. I brought just one simple example, how to use AI here in a combination with augmented reality, which is what's a bachelor thesis of a young guy. He was so successful that he created his one company. The name of the company is Kimono, and if you like to learn more about Kimono, just look on the homepage. He just used artificial intelligence to recognize different parts, mechanical parts. We can have 1,000 of parts. If they are not structured and organized in a way, then it's very difficult to find these parts. And using augmented reality glasses and AI algorithms, he's able for a very short time to find the right parts, to assemble this mostly electronic and mechanical components and work directly after a short time. Let's talk now about virtual reality. I am involved in this area since '93, so I was one of the first who visited the first cave in Illinois State University of Chicago, '93, and I am fascinated, still very, very fascinated and involved in this development. What is virtual reality? Again, I mean, looking in the 50s, in 80s, the last century, the work was done on the topic of hardware and software, specialized software, to create the so-called virtual environment display system, which is a very precise term about which work was done. But this term was known just for experts. And this development was pushed very strong by the development of NASA. So, and just to make this term more attractive, Jérôme Lanier just said, let's call it virtual reality. But this is even not his term. The term virtual reality comes from science fiction, from Damon Roderick, who introduced this term '82. So, and since 1989, the virtual reality is some way a famous area. And I am personally very unsatisfied by the media because they use this term to show that we use virtual reality for fun, for computer games and so on. And I am really not, I do not agree with this. This is not what the media make out of this term. Especially a metaverse, you know, we are not talking about different realities. We have just one reality, and this reality is expanding. So our understanding from reality is expanding because with virtual reality and other form of realities, in sense technical creation of the transition from completely virtual to completely physical, we have different steps, then our perception of this world is changing, and our possibilities to see more of the invisible, the touch, the untouchable, is growing up. So we have just one reality. We don't have a parallel universum like metaverse. Metaverse says us. I call this XR. XR is the reality as expanding continuum. This is a continuum from 100% synthesized reality, which we call virtual reality on the left side, until the mixed reality, where we have the coexistence of physical and virtual reality. In the middle, we have the augmented virtuality. That means the points we see are scan data from the reality. You use just a three-dimensional scanner, and if you scan a building, then you can merge the physical reality, the scan of the physical reality, with the model, which do not exist now, of a building. So that means the colored elements are CAD, elements of CAD model, something which do not exist, and the scan points are get from the physical reality. And we have the augmented reality in the opposite. We are more in the physical reality, but we can put some annotations and extend this physical reality with some valuable information. The mixed reality, as I said, is the coexistence of both realities, where the both realities can influence each other, that physical and virtual reality, like a driving simulator and flying simulator. As an example from our research, which is, by the way, the PhD of Angela, which is a very, very talented young woman, we show how to use virtual reality for so-called asymmetric virtual collaboration as a service. What means this? This means that if you have one ground site, a production plant with physical machines, and service providers which are sitting probably many kilometers far from this plant, then the service provider do not have the machines, but have the machines just digitally, and can give instruction to the engineer on the plant side how to run the physical machine. Therefore, we say this is an asymmetric virtual collaboration, but there are many other fine types of collaboration we are studying. And the digital twin, which is a new, relatively new term since 20 years. My colleague, Michael Greaves, teaching product lifecycle management, this is what I also teach at KIT, used the term digital twin just to give it, to explain it in a more simple way to the students, how the physical and virtual worlds belong together in the life cycle, product life cycle. So this is the approach to unify in some way to bring these two worlds together. And if you really want to learn more about digital twins, then I highly recommend you look on what Michael Greaves is telling. There are many speeches of him, and you will get information just from the source. Because there are many interpretations of digital twin. Of course, we are talking about bidirectional connectivity. This is the most essential part of the digital twins, not just having geometry in some way at any time. And this is where we are today. So that means the problem today is that many suppliers of CAD systems, for example, or other IT systems, they just use existing geometry or put some attributes or use offline simulation and say we have a digital twin. And this is not true, because what is missing is the synchronization between physical and virtual world in a given level of accuracy in a given time. So it doesn't mean that if we work on a car project that we always need the digital twin of the entire car. We can work on the chassis, we can work on the engine, or on the battery, but it depends on the contents. It depends on the application. This is very important. So what should we take into consideration in future? To have digital twins working in a productive way for the industry, we need to keep the standards, the norms. So, as an example, RAMI, the reference model for Industry 4.0. We have to teach the right skills to prepare the employees for working with digital twins and implement it always in the praxis to get more closer to the real applications. One of the central statements concerning digital twins is to implement digital twins, we have to work on the concept back-end, front-end. Then the back-end is where we have the data, infrastructure, machines. They are hidden for the people because of the complexity. And we should put more attention on the front end, where are the humans with their experiences, emotions, and the way how they make decisions. The digital twin is some way the orchestrator of this both services of the back side and front side. So as a last example, also from from the KIT, students implemented the concept of digital twin, only the front end. The back end is too much complex. I will not now provide you many details about that. But you see how simple he can produce with a virtual milling machine VR with Smiley. So, and once the machine finishes the operation, the virtual machine switches on the physical machine. The physical machine produces exactly what he produced. As I said, the student do not need to know all details about the back end, but it is the way how humans work with and solve problems of complexity. This is the whole team participated in this project. And you see on the other side, the physical machine is already working and producing what was done virtually. So, how to implement sustainable operation? My time is finished, so my time finished already. So I just invite you to visit our YouTube channel. We have many examples, also with cooperation with industrial partners, but also from our educational process, where we will see examples also in the area of renewable energy, in the area of sustainable buildings, so on. And probably I can give you some details during the panel discussion. Thank you very much. As you see, we demonstrate our results always in terms of videos, because in this way we can show what we implemented. We do not just use slides, some pictures, but we show our results. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Please stay for 1 or 2 more questions. Dear audience, if you have now 1 or 2 specific questions to the keynote of Ms. Ovcharova, then is now your time. A lot of valuable content, but now we will move on then to the panel. And in the meantime of our next video, we will do the setup of the panel and invite every of our panelists on stage after the video. Thank you.
So I hope you enjoyed the video. It was just finished yesterday, I guess. So it's really fresh and just prepared for this event. And yeah, now we are continuing with a main topic, namely the keynote, the panel discussion on how we can reach the SDGs with AI. And for this, I will invite our panelist up here. And first panelist is Jivka Ovcharova. You already know her. But I have some more facts about her. So she holds 3 PhDs, 1 in computer science, 1 in mechanical engineering, and 1 honorary degree from the Technical University of Sofia. So very impressed by that, because I'm still struggling to get my first one. And yeah, if you missed the QR code, you can search for Institute for Information Management in Engineering from the KIT, where she is a professor. And she also founded a Center for Artificial Intelligence Talents and an Industry 4.0 collaboration lab and a Lifecycle Engineering Solution Center. So she's a really busy lady, and we're very happy to have her here, not only for our keynote, but also for our panel. So join me on stage. Yeah, thanks. The next panelist is Patricia Moog. She's an expert in sustainability, transformation, and the SDGs. And she makes sustainability tangible. We heard already that we also need to do things intangible, but in this case, it's good to have it tangible. And she founded 4L Impact Strategy, a consultancy that supports the clients on their sustainability journey. And her background is in chemical and process engineering at KIT. And she has several years of experience working in the industry, so she knows exactly where to pull the levers. So please join me on stage. And last but not least, we have Michael Dietz with us. He started his career at SAP, worked in different stations from consulting to full stack development, and he also holds lectures on mobile app development at the Duale Hochschule Baden-Württemberg. Since 2018, he's working at Google Cloud, where he helps his customers leverage cloud technology for sustainability. I'm sure he will tell us more about that in the panel discussion. So welcome, Michael, with a warm applause. So last week, the SDG report was released, and it showed that COVID-19 and the Russian war in the Ukraine have led to setbacks in reaching the sustainability goals. So my first question goes to you, Patricia. Why are the SDGs so important, especially in these days?
How much time do I have to answer this question? Well, it's extremely important, and I'm actually personally really sad that we have not achieved the SDGs or that we are not making progress on the SDGs. The last 2 years have been extremely hard for businesses, for governments, but also the civilians and individual persons. And for me, it's really hard to see that we have not made any progress on the SDGs within the last 2 years. And basically, the SDGs are the closest thing that we have to a global strategy and a global vision on sustainability. And we all need to act on that as governments, as businesses, individual persons, and everyone. And also research plays a huge role. And I guess also AI could really speed up the process and in reaching and achieving the SDGs.
Yeah, of course it can, and maybe Michael can jump in right there. So you work on sustainability projects in the area of AI at Google Cloud, so maybe you can share some insights about a project that you did that is paying into the SDGs.
Okay, I have one thing in mind that I would highlight here. So one project we are working on is a visual inspection or visual kind of machine learning algorithm that we have used to train a model with our company or partner that we are working with, that's Lush. So Lush is the company that provides the stores with the bath soaps and all that kind of stuff. And it was a visual model that helps the user or customer to go into the store and identify products even without any packaging. Okay, so that is where for sure it directly impacts the kind of waste reduction and stuff like that. And that's a project I was working on and basically supported the company in making that happen, that maybe in the future the store can even have no waste in total, so completely reduce that. That's one of the examples. Yeah.
Very cool. And you also shared some examples in your keynote, but if we always hear of these great advancements in research and so on, how do you make sure that your research comes to a company like Google or other partners in the industry, that we really can use the knowledge and make a positive impact on sustainability?
What happened in the last 3 years when the pandemic and now it's, the conflicts, so it is changing the way of living and working in the world, as not only in Europe, shows us that we cannot run the globalization like we have done it before. So therefore I said we have to work on more smart methods of using less materials, be less dependent on material flow. Like in the global supplier chains, for example, we missed a lot in the last time. We work in the research exactly on new methods. I especially have now my most biggest research project on regional digital ecosystems. That means the future is really to work more decentralized, to start to use the resources in the regions much more effectively, and to work on a regional level is much easier to bring digital services to everybody than to work only on global level. How do we practice this? Is we work very tight together with the industry, because bachelor and master theses are usually done in a collaboration with the industry, with large companies, but also small companies. This showed to us that we work, we feel which are the most essential problems to cover with such theses and the other aspect is, of course, as I mentioned it, just to teach new skills. We do not teach just knowledge. Knowledge is not enough. We have to practice knowledge. So we need new skills for the new generation of employees, because we see that there is a huge request of well-educated people for new professions. This is the way how do we approach the goals of the sustainable development, which, as I said before in the workshop, it is not possible just to talk about isolated goals, but we have always to interrelate.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes even startups, as you mentioned, are a way to bring the research into practice. And Michael, you are also working with especially startups in the domain of AI. Maybe you can comment a little bit on that, and also you can jump in on why you need to found a sustainability consultancy.
In my daily job, I'm basically supporting startups in Germany or in the DACH region, so including Switzerland and Austria, that are interested in using our technology, especially AI technology, to do any kind of use case and any kind of business. But for sure, I have a dedicated focus on companies that also have a sustainability impact. Stuff like, I don't know, Planetly is a very interesting one that does more like the reporting piece of stuff, but I also have some smaller startups that are interested in evaluating the 1.5 degree goal of buildings, for example, of companies itself, but they are strongest in buildings. That's a company from Frankfurt called Right Based on Science, that's their full name. And that's very interesting then to see how we can enable them to do then the sustainability topics, drive them forward, bring them into the market. So
yeah, I think that is something you have in common, because we have to enable the companies to go on this journey, right?
Exactly. This is, I think, one of the huge challenges, to bring AI technology and the knowledge and the skills together with sustainability. And what I also see is decision makers in companies are not educated enough to take decisions with AI or even within sustainability. And sustainability, I guess, is a lot longer around now than AI. And we have to accelerate that together, I guess, with the research, with already acceleration programs, and bring this together and make it mandatory that these things are thought together and trained and taught together.
Yeah. Exactly. But there's still this problem that everyone is now talking about how we can use AI, but some of the companies out there are still struggling in getting their digitization journey on the right way. Yeah, both are needed. Of course, we need digitization and AI to reach our climate targets, but aren't we overwhelming them with both at the same time? What do you think?
Well, I think that the problems are really not the methods and the technology. I already used the term how to use it, this technology, and here we deal with the processes. Where we really need a lot of attention is how to implement technologies and methods in practically in different companies. And the companies, they have some history. They have very specific working environments and infrastructure. So we have to approach these problems very specifically. There are no universal, recepts how to implement artificial intelligence, especially in small, medium-sized companies. Therefore, my advice is really to work together on site, analyzing processes, preparing teaching skills in the very, very important to prepare the employees and to also the decision makers to accept this technology. And we are all humans. One fact I can report is what is really make us huge problems is the acceptance. The acceptance of using this technology, even this technology brings advantage, because employers are afraid that they will lose their job if we use more artificial intelligence. So it's a very, very complex topic to be approached as a whole and not just talking about technology.
Yeah, and there are not only prejudice about AI, also about sustainability, of course. Maybe you can comment on that, because always people say, it's so expensive, we can't do this this year with COVID and so on.
Exactly. And what we need right now is business leaders who have the courage to also go into the direction of maybe unproven technology and maybe unproven transformation paths and processes. And it's, for me, so important to enable the people in the company, the employees, to be not afraid of sustainability and not go into that complex realm of then the dual transformation of digitization and sustainability at once in a company, which is why we integrate in our consulting process always we have an academic or a training part for the employees. And I think this is so integral for having basically within a solution or solution finding phase, giving them the education and the training and the skills they need, implement them directly in the dual transformation, and then move on and find solutions for their own company, because they have the sector knowledge, they have the knowledge of their history of the company, and to integrate that together. But yeah, you need courage to do that.
That's for sure. So yeah, the topic today was a lot focused on AI and sustainability. And if you look into the literature, there's always this debate, sustainable AI versus AI for sustainability. And yeah, this living debate is also done by some famous researchers, like, for example, the AI ethicist Amy from Winsberg, and she's arguing that the sustainability of aspect of AI is often neglected because everyone is just focusing on how we can use AI for good, but then they just don't look at how much energy it consumes, for example. So, Michael, what do you think about that? Especially as a cloud solution provider, you have to consider this aspect a little bit more maybe than the others.
Correct, and I recently did a talk about that, because for sure that's an obvious topic. On the one hand side, we want to use AI for doing good and positive things in sustainability. On the other hand side, it impacts it directly because it has a climate and energy usage effect. What's the goal behind that, or what I'm doing is I work with companies and I teach them a little bit of best practices for how they can reduce the energy consumption or the overall resource consumption when they train machine learning models, when they put them into inference, so constantly using it. So that's one topic that we call Green Ops, where we go into particular tips and tricks and teach everybody about these little kind of things. On the other hand side, With Google Cloud, we are investing also into the topic because sustainability is important, climate is important, energy efficiency is important. And what we have recently launched is a new generation of our product called TPU. So TPU is a tensor processing unit. So basically some kind of an accelerator like a GPU, but a little bit more effective. And then we have built it into a new server farm into our data center in Ohio, US. And the result is it's running at 90% carbon-free energy with a very high efficiency when you use these kind of accelerators. So there are many aspects to that, and yeah, we try to also educate people around what can they do on a machine learning basis to improve and to reduce resource consumption.
Okay, perfect, but that sounds like you solved already everything. There must be a challenge left.
No, there's still a lot to do, and for sure, as machine learning is picking up, more and more resources are being acquired. So last year we saw, for example, that the GPU market was nearly empty and there was capacity issues. Also because of Bitcoin mining and all the mining exercises, that changed this year, so that's a good thing. But with the growing need and use of machine learning, we will see that this is definitely making up a large portion of energy consumption in data centers. So that's why we constantly have to improve and solve new things.
For sure. And the others, do you also have some challenges in mind that we currently have to face or also have to overcome in the area of AI and sustainability? Well, maybe from the research perspective first and then from the strategy perspective next.
Well, this is a very, very good question. You said what means using AI, well, what we can improve in terms of sustainability. And I think that, of course, data centers are very important. They are consuming a lot of energy, but I'm not talking about only cloud computing. We will have in the industry much more edge computing. That means we will calculate on site, not in the cloud. So anyhow, we will have, we need huge computational resources in the future about what I'm talking about, intangible assets. And this means that, also talking about the three pillars, we have to change our behavior. It's not a question if Putin will, you know, not deliver any more gas to us. This is not a question. We have anyhow to change our behavior concerning the computational power, in sense that just making pictures from the dinner and sending this to friends, you know, using WhatsApp or the other messengers and so on, this costs energy. So sometimes we have really to think if it's necessary or not. We have to change our behavior because our behavior now is we feel, you know, if we do something wrong concerning material resources, we have to have the same feeling also talking about immaterial resources like data and computational power. The people do not see it, but we will have problems also at the energy for serving data centers and for all what we have in future to do, producing more as assets, intangible assets.
Yeah, for me, basically, to put it in a nutshell, I also want to focus on the ethics part of AI and, of course, the energy related and the related GHG emissions is really important, but I also want to focus on ethics in AI I personally do not want to live in a world where AI is developed for socially judging people and putting them into classes and into systems, and for me this is one thing where I really want to see improvement in the future, that AI is also in terms of the social sustainability a really good tool that we can use.
Yeah, exactly. There's some, yeah. And yeah, the last question for the panel today is, maybe I direct it directly to you, Jivka. So on the one hand, we know that young women are predominantly engaged in the climate movement in Germany, for example. But on the other hand, if we look in the area of artificial intelligence and robotics, the women are still underrepresented. So is this now the chance that we inspire more women to start a career in AI?
Well, this is the question why women are not represented, not sufficiently represented in the AI area. We should not talk only about Germany. So in the other countries in this world, we have a very high percentage of women involved in computer science, in engineering, and AI. This is the reason in Germany are just stereotypes and tradition. I don't think that we have some essential difficulties here to motivate young women for selecting this way as a profession. But we have to work on this issue since the beginning. And I'm very much involved in these activities, like responsible for gender issues at KIT in the past. It's a question really of mentoring, of role models. In my lectures, I have many women, more than 40%. In my institute, I have more than 50% women, and they do a great job. So it's a question we do not have any difficulties from nature we cannot solve. It's a question of taking out the old stereotypes, what are professions for women appropriate or not, and also with this in this relation, we have to also to create a new models of working, helping women to work more free, and also to see potential for leading positions. These are again many factors which are interlinked. But there are a lot of very positive examples from other countries in Europe and in the world. I'm, for example, very, very impressed by how the countries like Singapore, even India and China manage these issues, where I see much more women working in the area of AI than here in Germany. So we have to work on.
Yeah. And together with Women in AI and Robotics, we want to make that happen in the next years. So thanks a lot. Please spend a warm applause to our panelists. Thank you. We have some time for questions now, so feel free to ask anything you want. We have 3 experts here, and don't be shy.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Maybe, I don't know if this is your area of expertise, but maybe your personal opinion, because you talked about courage of stepping up or measures. Yeah, but what about regulatory measures to enforce things? Because, I mean, technically in the 50s, 60s, you called people hippies, and today, technically, we're electing them, right? So if you position yourself well, you can also welcome regulatory measures and be the smart person. So what are your views on advancing the field that way, basically top down, instead of creating incentives and hoping on goodwill? Because I don't know, we saw in the past with cars emissions and also COVID restrictions in England, for instance, that people don't even abide by the rules. So that seems like the smallest measure you have to do to enforce things. So any of your opinions I would be interested in. Just
of course, I have an opinion on that. I guess we have to, everything has to be combined right now. We simply do not have the time to wait longer. Policies have to be made. I'm right now EU taxonomy with the decision to classify nuclear energy and gas energy as sustainable is basically, basically that's not my opinion. I think it's very unsustainable. But in terms of the rest, the EU Green Deal is a really good measure to, in my opinion, to step forward and really direct flow of finances and of money towards a sustainable environment. And I guess we also as individuals have to step up, businesses have to step up, and everyone take the responsibility they have. Basically, I guess it's a common work.
Yeah, maybe to add to that, so I see it important, yeah, but it's maybe more important to really put the responsibility, as you said, down to the individuals, because we have to change ourselves. It doesn't make sense. Some people will even not behave like regulatories want them to behave. They would even maybe do the other thing around. So we also need to think about how to teach every individual. I think we are good in some private areas, like how to put waste in the right waste bin, for example. That's everybody's teach. But what we can teach, and that's what maybe you're doing a good job with companies, what can you do in your daily work life, right? What's in the business side of things, what you can change, what you can impact. I think that is maybe a big area where we still can educate people, and a lot more areas. But then absolutely echoing your comments.
I think that one concrete approach we will implement in the next 5 years, I mentioned the term regional digital ecosystems. So we talk about ecosystems, digital ecosystems, but we win at a project in Regio win for 5 years in the area of Buhl. It's a small city, which it's, of course, we have to consider the role of the responsibility of the individual, but individuals should work together. And I think that really the best way is, in my opinion, I probably few years later I will be much more concrete, is to try to create a regional model as a digital ecosystem to study the influences of interaction of people, technology involving the society, the biggest player, the small companies, education and so on, to try to find solutions as much as possible on a regional level. And the advantages, this is very transparent. It's very close to the people. They know each other. And there are many advantages we can use to implement this digital ecosystem. So I'm very impressed with what in Switzerland is implemented in this sense. And I think that to solve global problems, we need to start, of course, in small steps. Each individual can try to do for himself to find some solution, but we are not, we do not live in isolation. And the region is a good opportunity now to find solution for small town, and if it's work to use this model to adapt it to other regions, of course, with relevance to the goals and to the environment of this region. As I said, I'm absolutely convinced that this could be a very, very appropriate model, what I said, to move from the globalization, the globalization we know since 50 years, but the globalization doesn't work anymore if you have if the physical communication is broken, and to concentrate on resilience models of 4 regions. So this could be a good approach to move towards smart economy.
Thank you. So there was another question. Maybe you can direct it directly to one of our panelists. Perfect, thanks.
My name is Sven, and I work quite a lot with customers in the manufacturing industry. And I have a specific question to you, Michael. My experience over the past 20, 25, 30 years is that the people in Germany especially avoid moving to new technologies. And in recent 10 years, we have major problems convincing the people using cloud technology. And they might trust maybe Microsoft because they use the Office products, but they don't trust Google, they don't trust Amazon. And I think what we learned in Jivka's presentation, we need these infrastructure and these cloud-based infrastructures and technologies to even get there. And I have no idea how we can approach this, because when I come to the companies, it's almost terrible that you have to explain, yeah, well, you use a network and use the internet, and it's just, I feel helpless sometimes, and I would like to hear what are you doing that the German industry, which are not moving to the cloud, what we can do here.
So I can give you my long pitch afterwards during the socializing networking session. But nevertheless, I think we also have the same topics, especially in manufacturing, where we have to step by step educate and talk again and talk again. Maybe we have the time, or I don't know the time, but we go very often and we have a long cycle until we convince somebody. But we see a little bit of a trend going into the right direction, let's say it this way. But again, other industries. So FSI is an industry that now more and more picks up cloud and public cloud providers and all that kind of stuff. We have launched one particular kind of product, which is called a sovereign cloud, which is some kind of a more advanced security controlled cloud environment that also in regulated industries is very interesting. Long story short, we struggle the same, right? Or we have the same issues, we can feel with you. And step by step, hopefully we see a trend that goes into the right direction. But yeah, you're absolutely right. If you try to build in your own data centers and try to put many GPUs in there, that's on the one hand side not economic anymore, but also from a sustainability perspective, that doesn't make any sense anymore, because building your own data center is not as energy efficient as a large one, and yeah, you have a lot of embodied carbon standing around. So that's why also from that perspective, it would be interesting to move these people.
My name is Kirsten, and I'm pretty interested in this warm learning. I don't know if this is a topic that is really used also for sustainability reasons. So recently I heard that. Yeah. Recently I heard that in the healthcare sector, you use it, for example, that all hospitals all over the world can participate and just don't upload their sensitive data, but still share the trained models. Is that something that is already thought of in terms of sustainability?
Yeah, so I'm looking into that. That's on our side a term federated learning, where you basically distribute not the data to a central point, but you distribute the model learning into the hospitals or something. And yes, at the end, it's some approach where you can say, because every single hospital is only training on a limited amount of data, it's something that reduces the carbon emissions cost in the hospital by electricity usage. But if you sum it up at the end, it's a similar kind of amount, because you're training on a total same amount of images. So at the end, the formula is that it, at least from an energy consumption perspective, ends up in a similar dimension. So yeah, not making a big difference. If that points to your question. But I was only looking into energy consumption and resource consumption. But the leading fact behind that is data privacy concerns, right? That's the important piece why we do that. We do that because data stays where it is, and you still have the ability to train a global machine learning model without moving data into other companies, regulatory areas, and whatever.
Okay. So any other questions can be transferred to the networking session. All the panelists stay a little longer, I guess, and just feel free to connect with them. They are happy for your questions. And yeah, please give another big round of applause to our panelists. And I learned a lot today. I hope you all had an amazing experience here with the workshops at the beginning, with our keynote, and also the panel discussion, and take home a lot of insights from today. And at the end, I have a little announcement from the Women in AI and Robotics community. So in August, on the 13th, it's a Saturday, we have our next networking event, and it starts at 5 p.m. and we will do a picnic. So if you want to join us for a casual meeting where we just chat and eat some things, just join us. We will announce the details on our Discord server. So this is a benefit for our community members. And yeah. So that's the last thing for today. I can only say it was great to be your host for this event, and the snacks will be in the back and the drinks. So I hope to see you next time again if we have another great event like this. So thanks a lot.